Welcome to This Week in Indian Hill Brave Sports here on the all-new IndianHillBraves.org and ESP Media powered by Sidearm Sports. I'm Jason Griefer, and we are joined by Indian Hill AD Brian Phelps. And Brian, you're coming to us from a remote location today, I understand.
That's right. We're out here watching some tennis, and Mason at the ATP sitting at tennis court, center court, watching a match. I don't know if it gets any better than this.
Yeah, great way to start our conversation here. The sectionals getting going, and we're recording this at about noon on Monday here. How are we looking out there? How's the weather looking? What are you wanting to see from your team?
Well, I started to pull in about 10 o'clock, and a lot of fog, cold, about 46 degrees. Starting to warm up. It's a nice day for tennis. The sweatshirts and sweatpants are starting to come off. A couple of our players had buys the first round. Everybody's won so far, so we'll continue into the afternoon, and the goal is for both doubles teams and all three singles teams to make it to Saturday for seeding for districts for the following week.
One of the things I found interesting in looking on IndianHillBraves.org and looking at this schedule for the tennis team is that there are dates listed all the way through the state tournament. And I bring that up because not a lot of other schools are doing that. They update it as they go along. So with that said, I'm thinking, and you can confirm or deny this, state's the expectation then, is it not?
No doubt. So the way tennis is set up, we have two chances, right? So either our kids go as individuals or doubles teams, and then we have the GCTCA as also chance as also to make it. So on Monday the 12th, we'll play Eaton to see if we're in the Final Four, which would be played on Sunday up there. So yeah, we're one way or another, we're expecting to be playing some state tennis here and pretty soon.
And we'll hopefully be talking about that going forward. Let's talk about some of your other athletic ventures here. Football stayed perfect, finished the regular season just fine, 62-6 over Finneytown. You get a number 2 seed in the playoffs, so you're going to get a first-round bye and a chance to rest for a week before you take on the winner of Oakwood and Batavia. A lot of things went right for this team going into the playoffs. Really all season long, there were just a lot of dominant wins for your team. So with that said, how are the coaches going to go about utilizing this bye week to get ready for either Oakwood or Batavia in a couple of weeks? Is it going to be more rest, maybe extra practice or an extra lifting session here or there? How do they negotiate that?
I don't think we're going to be doing anything any differently. There's not going to be extra rest necessarily, although the way they practice during the week, I think it's a good mixture of getting work in and not working the guys too hard most of the time. So our coaching staff isn't going to take any team too lightly. They're going to be ready for the winner of Batavia and Oakwood. And I don't see a lot changing even through the bye week. Just kind of staying the course, making sure we're fully prepared, and then getting after it.
As we said, they have been just on a roll. They've outscored teams by nearly 300 points through 6 games. So the results are what they are. So some people from the outside would look at it and say, well, geez, what is there to improve on during the bye week? And obviously coaches are going to find little things here and there to try and get better at. From your perspective, what does this team have to improve on going into the playoffs?
Well, any team, when you're going into the playoffs, you want to be as perfect as possible. And trust me, when we have a false start or we have any type of penalty, those are the types of things they're hammering. Just the discipline of our team, I think, is really good. But anytime you have a chance to improve upon a penalty or just sharpen things up, that's kind of the mode we're in right now. I think it's hard to really point at too many things right now with the dominance that we've shown, but that's going to come to an end. We're going to have some tough games coming up, and that's what I think everybody has to remember. There's going to be some good matchups not too far down the road, so we just have to do that.
Well, and to that point, the draw came out the day before your final regular season game. So you knew, regardless of the Finneytown result, what it was going to be. You were going to be the number 2 seed. You were going to get a first round bye. What did you think when the draw came out and potentially seeing that down the road? And again, the coaches aren't going to put the cart before the horse, but we can talk about it here. Potentially in a couple of rounds, you could see Wyoming with a chance to move on to the playoffs. What did you think of your team's draw?
Well, we thought that it really went exactly the way we thought it would. And we're excited to play Wyoming potentially if both of us can continue on Halloween night at Indian Hill. I don't know if you can really script it much better. And I'm sure they want to play us too. I think for both of our communities, we know that'll be a great fourth round game in the tournament. Again, if we both can continue to win. And, that's what you want. That's tournament football right there. I mean, I don't know at our level, at least, if it gets any better than that. I've got to imagine that there's going to be a lot of people excited to see how that game turns out.
Yeah, no doubt. But got to get there first. And certainly the way those two teams are playing, it seems like that will happen. But again, any given day, any given Friday, something else can happen. Let's talk about volleyball. Not in a pretty good spot right now, tied for third in the league with Madeira. You're going to get Reading coming up, and then you're going to play Taylor. And Taylor's in second place right now in the league. So you've got a chance to move up there. And we're going through the league a second time. So playing Reading again, beat them in 5 sets last month, but lost to Taylor in 4. And it's kind of been alternating wins and losses from that point. So at this point in the season, with little time left in the regular season, are they aware of the conference standings? Do they even look at that stuff? Or are they just taking match to match and maybe seeing what they can apply going into the postseason?
Yeah, sure. At this point, we want to finish second in the league. We know we don't have a chance to be at the top, but we still have that in front of us, and we've played some pretty decent volleyball lately. And as you said, it feels like alternating wins, but we're still right there in the mix of finishing off the season well and then getting right into the tournament.
And still a lot of things to be determined. Seeding, of course, still at stake there as well. Let's move on to the pitch. Boys soccer, they're going to get back into CHL play here after a couple of treks outside of the league. Most recently, a tough one against Summit. But now you've got Wyoming, Finneytown, and then a road trip to Taylor this coming week. So busy week for them. The postseason as well for the boys is not too far off in the distance, and seeding starting to come into play. We're keeping an eye on that. So, are they as well looking at this as match to match? Because they're sitting at 5th in the league, and they've got a chance to move up. Again, it's going to be everybody's still chasing Marymount at the top of the league there. So I'm not sure if there's going to be time to get that high. But do they also have a goal that, hey, maybe we can get to second, maybe we can get to third in the CHL?
Yeah, you always want to move up a rung in the standings. I think at this point, it's been a little bit rough season for the boys. There's no doubt, but they, the attitude's been good. And we said this last week. I think our coaching staff and our kids feel like we'll finish out the regular season and we could be that sleeper team in the tournament. What's nice about soccer is we're in. We know we're in, and then we'll really start taking one game at a time. But we feel confident we can put it all together when the time's right and see how far we can go.
Over on the girls' side, they're sitting right behind Marymount at the top of the standings. Marymount's 4-0. Your team's at 4-1, and so you're right. You're right there. Right behind them. You got Finneytown coming up this week. Is there any kind of scoreboard watching with them to see if maybe Marymount gets tripped up as well as they've been playing? As we talked about with football, any given Friday, in this case, any given match out there. Do they look at that at this point, or are they just focused on let's get better? If we finish second, that's fine. It will still have a nice seed going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm sure our ear is down to the ground, making sure we kind of know what their results are. But I think with the girls, even more so than anything, we're worrying about ourselves. We're worrying about trying to win the next game. And, if we can sneak up to the top of the standings, great. But, the girls are in a little different position where they're playing good soccer and they're going to take it one game at a time. Marymount gets tripped up. Great, I guess, for us. And if not, we're still pretty excited about the team we have.
Yeah, they've been playing very well as of late, winning 3 of the last 4. The one trip up there last week, a 2-1 loss to Alter. But nevertheless, you're right there in every single match and pulling them out more so than not. Let's move over and talk about field hockey. And we were all singing their praises a couple of weeks ago, 6-0 to start the year. And then seemingly it seemed like a gauntlet came through the program, and they've struggled as of late. They're now 7-4 in the year, but you got an overtime loss to Oakwood, an overtime loss to Mount Notre Dame. before picking up a win over Hilliard to get back on the right track there. You've got Summit and St. Ursula coming up, who they've already beaten, or in the early in the year, Indian Hill did beat both those two teams. So do they feel like that they're, even though they've had a couple of close losses, do they feel like they're not far off from either where they were at the beginning of the season or where they think they can be going forward?
That's right. I don't think – I mean, I know I'm not any less proud of their effort, and I think we're still playing good field hockey. As you said, you could look at the beginning of the year and know that week was just a gauntlet. And to lose, two really tough games in overtime, Mount Notre Dame being one of those teams that, best team around here at least. And I think that gives them a ton of confidence moving forward and into the tournament. Like, hey, we can beat anybody, at least that's been on our schedule so far. We're right there. So girls are doing great. Attitudes are great. They're playing tough. And we expect to have a few more wins before, at least a couple more wins before the tournament starts. And then we'll get into it.
Has those overtime losses, is that hurt them in any way with their emotional set, or have they been able to maintain the mindset, gosh, we're right there. If we just do this one thing differently, we get the win this time around?
Yeah, that's right. With field hockey, it goes down to 7v7 or 6 on the field, and it's a little bit different of a game. And thankfully, we pulled one of those overtime wins out, so we haven't always been on the wrong side of that. So, yeah, of course, you when you lose that way in a golden goal, it's what could we have done differently? Was it the right personnel? Was it? And I would say yes, it's been the right personnel every time. We've played hard every time. It's been a little bit of luck. We played just as well. We'll have shots on the goal. They don't go in, and they stick one in, the game's over. So they're just fine. This is the best season they've had in recent memory, and I know the kids, the parents, the coaches, the athletic director are all very excited for their season so far and proud of them. And let's see what kind of noise we make in the tournament.
Let's talk about your boys golf team. And they go into the sectionals, and it just seems like Indian Hill, Madeira, and Marymount are conjoined at the hips, because we've talked on the show about how close all three of these programs have been all season long. And then you go into the sectional and you finish in a 3-way tie in scoring. Marymount gets the tiebreaker, so they technically finish first there. But when you see that result come in, that all three of them finished with the exact same team score, do you just shake your head and say, of course, it had to go that way?
We've talked about it all year, so it doesn't surprise any of us, And what's interesting is we started off on the back nine that day, and they were on the front, so we were way behind at the turn. And we really turned it on the last 9 to give ourselves a chance to be right back there. But nope, doesn't surprise me a bit. It's been such a great year for CHL golf, and now we'll see what happens at districts.
Yeah, we saw some of the reports come in and say wind was a pretty big factor out on the course there in the sectionals as well. So, and we saw that Peter Shakely didn't have quite the round that he's accustomed to having. He struggled a little bit, but again, the other guys picked up the slack, and you were able to finish in a 3-way tie. So knowing that –
on that, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Peter had a rough first 9, which was the back 9, and I was at the turn. And this is exactly what you want in your number one golfer. He was in great spirits. He said, I'm going to tear this other side up. And he played very well. And, just it's such a mental game anyway, but to have that attitude knowing you didn't play well and the wind's crazy, he had the perfect attitude, and it paid off because he played a great back 9.
How important is that for a golfer of his caliber to be able to slough off a front 9 for him that didn't go so well, come out and say, I got this, as you said, I'm going to tear up this now his back 9, and then he goes and delivers it?
Well, for the whole team, I think what's great is they know they didn't play well, yet they're in a 3-way tie for first at the end of the day until the 5th score. So I think that gives them confidence knowing that, okay, hopefully we got that one out of the way. We'll show up at Glenview for districts tomorrow. And, 4 good scores puts us on to state. So, you want mentally tough for every sport, but golf even more so. And our kids have it. And I love the resilience that they showed. last week. And man, if they can do that again, we're going to feel pretty good at the end of the day.
Is it their expectation, knowing that the Wind played with them as far as their scoring a week ago in the sectionals, that the districts will be a different story and they can come out on top and get through as a team?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's the goal. And we know it's going to be a little colder this week, but look, championship golf in Ohio is chilly usually and windy. So,
Yeah.
we're battle tested a little bit, and we expect to be playing another week, hopefully.
Lastly, before I let you go, we're moving into winding down the regular season for some. Others have begun their postseason in a time where we didn't know we would have any of it. What's the level of excitement, not only within the athletic program, but around Indian Hill High School right now that we're able to get in and we've got a chance to go win multiple state titles?
That's right. It's so many levels. We're so thankful we had a season for our kids, especially our seniors. We're so excited. Our teams are doing so well. We, in our opinion, and I think a lot of others, we have a top-notch athletic program, especially for our division, our size of school. And yeah, you said it. We have a chance the end of the fall to have a lot of success. And again, a couple months ago when we didn't know if we were going to get to play, to be in this position, is really exciting for everybody. The administration, just the kids in the school, the players, the parents. It's great. And this is what high school sports are about, to have these opportunities with your friends and to have success like this. I just hope we can finish it.
And it starts today with you being out there at the Leonard Tennis Center, watching your team hopefully move on from there. Brian, great catching up. Enjoy the tennis, and we'll be looking forward to following up those results next week.
All right, great. Thanks a lot.
That is Brian Phelps, athletic director at Indian Hill High School, joining us for This Week in Indian Hill Brave Sports here on ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.